Welcome to the Reinvention Show with your host, Carol Wayne. Today, Carol's guests are Sherry Molchen and Morgana Ray. I'm your producer, Keith Vachon, and now your host, Carol Wayne.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Reinvention Show. Today, we are talking about reinventing your relationship with money. So I'm really interested in this topic because I've had a problem with this myself. Not always. It came, and then I'm like, what's going on with this? So hopefully, today we will find out just exactly why some of us have problems with our relationship with money. So let's get started with my resident expert, Sherry Molchen. Hey, Sherry.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. So, Sherry Molchen wants to live in a world where women create financial independence. A down-to-earth financial advisor and money relationship specialist, she's been spotlighted on eWomen Network, Women Warriors Radio, International Life Coach Radio, and Unemployable Women Magazine. When she's not demystifying money for unstoppable women, you can find her working on lowering her golf handicap, sipping a glass of wine with the girls, or chasing the grandbabies. Her first book, Maximum Money Momentum, was released on February 2011 with an encore in the works. So welcome to the show, Sherry.
Thanks, Carol. I'm glad to be here.
So Sherry, give us a little bit of your backstory. How did you become a specialist for helping women to reinvent their relationship with money?
Sure. I've been in the financial services industry. I'm actually financial advisor for 17 years. And I noticed that people's problems weren't just because of their money, like how much they were saving and anything, but it went a lot deeper. And I left a big corporation 8 years ago and started my own business because I knew there was a missing piece in financial planning. Traditional financial planning doesn't work in the realm that it is anymore. So I started a group called the Diva Club, and it was about educating women with money on insurance and investments and you name it, whatever, anything to do with money. So we would meet once a month and have a special guest or myself talk about money-related topics, and then we would have fun. So we had wine pairing and pole dancing and all kinds of fun things because there was this real piece that was missing. And for me, it kind of morphed into seminars and workshops, and now more into the last couple of years into coaching. And I know that there's so many women out there that are keeping small, that are hiding behind shame and embarrassment and guilt because they just don't know what they don't know. And so as a financial advisor, I'm able to come in and look at their money, which is a lot of the things I focus at, but I also look at it, it's not from the outside in, we need to look at it from the inside out. And so that's where I'm going now. I work a lot with couples, changing their lives, because really when it all comes down to it, we just want to have fun, we want to be happy, and we want to be able to do the things that we love to do.
Awesome. Thank you. Now, you've got a little presentation that you're going to do for us, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, what I wanted to talk to you about is that, when it comes to money, love it or hate it, we need it, right? And it's all about our mindset and our attitude about money that's really going to either draw it to us or repel it against us. So what I want to talk about right now is, a lot of people, how many of us have actually been told to spend less, save more, create budgets, set goals, put all your right insurance in place, and have invest in a certain way. And we all, like I said before, that's all from going on the inside out. But it doesn't start there, right? And so one of the key things that I want to talk about is that we don't talk about money. How many of you ever talked about money when you were a child? Not me, right? I got that quiet in the room, when they started talking about money, that you need to leave the room, when your parents start talking about money. And that's
Right.
what I got. And, but really, we really need to get into the conversation about money. So, for instance, how much money do you have in the bank right now? Do you know, right? What's your credit like? How much debt do you have? Do you budget? You know, the dreaded B word. And I'm not going to talk about it, I promise. The dreaded B word I'm not going to talk about. How much do you save, right? Because most of us didn't grow up with guilt-free guidance. We really didn't, right? So if we don't know our numbers and we're not talking about money, like all this stuff, if we didn't talk about it, gets pushed down, pushed down, pushed down. And it's like this big iceberg. On the top of the iceberg is how much money we have in the bank, or, you know, how much physical, how much we save, our attitudes. But what's really running the show is what's down below. And that's our beliefs, that's our values, that's our money paradigms. All of those things are actually running the show. So it's even like, you know, the whole Bob Proctor thing about the 10% of your mind is your conscious mind, 90% is running the show. And that's exactly when it comes to money. And so I see so many people, they're like, why do I keep sabotaging myself? And I'm like, I know, let me tell you, right? Because you're not in control, you're not running the show. Somebody, you know, it's all those beliefs that you've pushed down below. And so, you know, you've got this big, huge emotional soup below that, you know, you really have to dig in there and find out what is going on for me. And that's where I realized the missing piece in financial planning was digging down. Because when the last time did your financial advisor ever say to you, so tell me about your past with money, your relationships, right? They just don't do that, right? They just want to earn a commission, they want to get your money, they want to sell you insurance. That's their job. That's okay. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. But it's not going down to what's really, really important to us. And so you really got to dig into that iceberg, you know, and kind of really dig into those emotions, what's causing you to act the way you are. The second thing is that, you know, we don't have a money map. And, you know, what I mean by money map is that where are you? Like, people come to me all the time and they'll say, hey, Cher, I need some help. And I'm going, okay, well, where are you in your financial world? And they go, I don't know. Like, do you know your numbers? No, I don't know my numbers. I don't know how much money. Where's your savings? They have no clue. It's all over the map. They've got, oh, I think I got some money in this bank over here. I think I got some money in this bank over there. And you know, it's no wonder that they're frustrated and they don't know anything, right? Because they don't have a map, you know, where they want to go. What are their goals? And here's the other thing. When it comes to couples, they might be working on 2 different maps. And that's what I find a lot of time. And when I do my couples coaching is one person's got one idea of success and the other one has another. And we have to bring them onto the same map. And the other thing is that there's so many money choices. You know, like, where do I invest? Do I invest in mutual funds? Do I invest in stocks? Do I invest in real estate? You know, what are, you know, all the acronyms in Canada? You know, we have RSPs and 401ks and GICs, and now in Canada we also have TFSAs. And people are like, you know, what if I do something wrong? How do I know what I'm going to do right? And so, you know, we're really ticking time bombs of stress. We just don't know what's going on. And so 3 tips that I want to give you today is to help you with this is get a daily log. Start a daily log of how much you're spending. And I'm not going to say the B word, because you can't even do the B word unless you know what your numbers are to budget, right? So you got to take a day log of everything. And I mean, get kind of anal about it in the first 3 months, you know, like gum, coffee, waters. Like, if you buy it out there, just find out where you're spending all your money, because if you don't know, and this is a big aha for people, and for me this exercise about 5 years ago changed my relationship with money, because money was bountiful and coming in, and my office is in a place in downtown where there's all new restaurants were opening up, and I was going out for lunch and taking people for coffees and everything, and I had a bookkeeper doing my receipts, and so I was helping her put them in the right categories, and I was spending anywhere from $400 to $600 on dining out. And that realization, when I realized those numbers, I was like, are you kidding me? That's like, you know, part of my trip to Mexico, which was way more important to me. So it's a real eye-opener for people, you know, to really find out your numbers. So take a daily log, and just, even if you're doing it by paper, I recommend a program called Quicken. Super easy to follow, you know, maybe a little bit of learning curve at the beginning, but after that it's not so bad. Another one you can use if you're a Mac user is mint.com, and I'm sure you've heard, maybe you've heard of that one. That one you can get a little app for your phone too, so your husband or your partner, your wife, or they can actually put in when they spend money, so you're not saying, how much did you spend? And they can just do on their phone, because everybody has a phone nowadays, right?
Right.
So,
That's right.
kids have phones. All the kids have phones. You can even budget your kids. So using that, because to know your numbers, if you want to build a map, then you got to have the blueprints. It's like the blueprints for your house, right? You got to have those numbers so that you can build the house. The other thing is start using cash. People don't use cash anymore. You know, it's like
trying to think how much I've got in my wallet, maybe about $2.07 or something like that.
Yeah, so you've lost that connection with the actual cash, with the money. And so what I tell people is to take your, you know, how much your groceries, just even start with that, and how much you want to spend on groceries in a month, and take that money out and just have that as a starting point. How much money do you want for your groceries, right? And use that cash in your wallet, because what happens when you put that cash in your wallet, it becomes real, and you're like, oh, okay, I get it. This is actually money, because we live in a plastic world. And I think with kids nowadays, they don't have any relationship when it comes to money, because it's like mommy and daddy will just go to the wall and grab it out of the wall. The wall will give them money, right? We live in a different world with money. So start using cash and just actually realizing how much am I actually spending, right? And what's the funny thing that happens is that once you do that, you'll find you won't want to spend it. You'll have more cash on you. And every time I do it with clients, they love it. And then just start saving and paying yourself first. Most people don't pay themselves. They pay all their bills, and if there's anything left over at the end, then they will get theirs. So one of the things that I always say is, you know, pay yourself, and I don't care, you know, spend money on you, because a lot of times what happens is people think that if they're gonna be successful, that they just have to cut everything out. But you can't do that. You need to spend money on you, and I call it the me account. And when I sit down with people, I say, you make sure that money is in your me account first, and then pay the bills after. And Robert Kiyosaki is a great example of how he used, you know, for everybody who knows who he is, as how he paid himself first. He always put his money away. Even creditors were lining up, and he lost everything and slept in his car, but he always paid himself first. And that money that he paid himself first allowed him to invest, and eventually became obviously very successful. So those are some key things. And it's really about, you know, it's really demystifying your relationship with money, is really getting a handle on your numbers. It's where I always start with everybody, and then we go deep. But it's always, they've got to have that handle on their numbers, which makes such a big difference in your life. I've had clients, some of my clients, that once they've realized that, one lady came to me, and she just divorced, and all of a sudden had to get a mortgage. And she'd never run the household finances. The husband had always done it. And so when she came to me, first thing we did was start looking at her numbers, and she'd never done anything for herself. So we set it up that she started doing things, because she's always the mom there for everybody else. Oh, and I should mention one little thing. She's 72. So for all these people out here thinking, oh, it's too late for me, or I can't do this, or I wouldn't do it, that isn't true, right? I actually wrote a blog the other day. I was reading, somebody else had written about Susie Orman had said somebody had phoned into her show asking, and she was in her 40s, saying, I really want to start this business, but she said, no, don't spend your money, you know, that's your retirement savings. Well, I don't know. As an entrepreneur and taking risks, sometimes I think, you know, keeping small is not such a good idea. I always encourage people to go for their dreams, because that's, you know, life is short. Life is short. Shit happens, and you have fun. And so many people stay small and worry so much about money when they could be doing so much with their life. And I love that I can come in and help them just, you know, go, hey, okay, get everything in organized. Now let's get down to the meat and potatoes. What's important to you? What do you want? Because most people don't have goals, and they can't even imagine, because they go to, well, how am I ever going to do that? And I love being able to take people and go, well, let's skip the how and let's go to what and why you want it, and get the numbers down. Take that fear, really, and it's really false fear, because it's just fear because they just don't know. And when the transformation with people is just what juices me, because it's just like this big cloud is lifted off of them, and they go, oh, okay, this is what these are the numbers. All right, now I can get on with my life. I'm just working with these one clients just recently, and they've bought within 3 weeks. Here's how fast this works. You know, law of attraction, or just, you know, kind of that energy where you're putting it out there. They've bought a house. He got offered a job where they're getting their house because it's out of town. And he's like, because I warned them, I said, be careful, stuff's going to start happening. So I started asking him questions. What are you going to do when you get that job? What are you going to do when you buy that house? And he's like, we haven't even got it yet. And I said, wait. And now it's 3 weeks later, and we're asking those questions. So, you know, it's about having, you know, the faith and your confidence, and really being in control of your money. And just, if you don't know how to do basic financial, then get help. It's not a bad thing. We weren't taught about it. And, you know, that's what I love with my background, that I can do is I can help people with just that basic financial management and get that out of the way so that they can go, oh, all right. And the other cool thing, Carol, is that they will all of a sudden more money starts coming when you start looking at money. And I know Morgana's going to talk about that too. Yeah. And it's, you know, it's those, all of the stuff starts happening, and you're like, whoa, this stuff really works, right? And it's like, it's not even, you know, you can say, I say to people, I'm not very woo-woo or anything like that, but it works. It's energy. So I love it. It's
well, that is an excellent segue into Morgana.
Yes, it is.
So thank you very much, Sherry. We'll be back to you shortly when we have our panel discussion. So
thank you.
Thank you. So Morgana Ray's fans have called her the Money Magnet Queen because of the many documented stories of clients manifesting unexpected income in hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of dollars, and even more within hours of changing their relationship with money. Morgana Ray is the international #1 best-selling author of Financial Alchemy, 12 Months of Magic and Manifestation. A sought-after teacher, speaker, and pioneer in personal development, she's widely regarded to be the world's leading relationship with money coach. Welcome to the show, Morgana.
I'm very glad to be here, especially with Sherry, because we are like bookends. I don't do any financial advising. I don't tell people how to invest. I don't have that background. I don't have that interest. I actually don't focus on the numbers the way she does. I'm kind of more on the extreme inside. I feel I've been a professional coach for 18 years now. So, you know, long before most people even knew that there was this thing going on, I'm one of the dinosaurs of coaching. And the #1 obstacle, and I've coached thousands of people, the #1 obstacle that people cite for what they can't have, do, or be is money. And so I feel like this niche chose me because we need to get rid of the money problem so that we can actually focus on the real life you want to live. And whereas Sherry is talking about the numbers, and numbers are important. And if you go to my website and you look at my blog and you look at my success story page, you will see a ton of numbers, because numbers are great for marketing. And I get numbers, emails, testimonials every day, and they're fun and they're dramatic, and we love cash and we love money, and that's all great. And the root of your financial situation is never really about money. Money is a symptom of what's really going on in your life, and the root causes are what money represents. Because first of all, money in and of itself isn't real. It doesn't occur in nature. We just completely made it up. It is like a shared delusion that one purse is worth $5 and another purse is worth $5,000, and we just agree, but it's completely made up. What is real, though, is what money represents. And money, in my experience, first with my own reinvention transformation back in beginning of 2003, money represents our worth. And that's a really big, knotty issue, and then when you dig even deeper, it represents our lovability. For instance, our first experience of money as babies and children was our parents. Our parents were our money. They told us what we were worth, and they told us that we were loved, or they didn't. And then when you go even deeper, our right to exist. When you don't have money for rent or medical care, it's like the universe is telling you that you don't even have a right to exist. So these are the deepest issues of human existence, and they will show up in your life circumstances mysteriously, and in your human relationships, in your health, and in your financial situation. And the great gift of working and focusing on the money relationship is nothing gets our attention faster than money. We can go a very long time searching for our romantic partner. It took me 45 years to find mine, and I've been married 1 month.
Congratulations.
As of today. We can go a very long time with illness and putting off seeing the doctor. We do not go hardly any time at all without an awareness of our financial situation. It just puts our whole body into red alert. So when I talk about relationship with money, I do something that is really different and weird, and I do it because it's effective. Because, I just got back from Puerto Vallarta, right, for my honeymoon. And the week before Puerto Vallarta, I was in Bali leading my annual Ultimate Money Goddess Bali retreat. And I travel the world. I make so much money now, and my quarterly taxes are more than I used to make in a year. So I'm meeting with my financial planner, and nod to Sherry, on Wednesday to get a strategy, like buying a house. I haven't really had a desire to buy a house. Now I'm being told maybe I need to do that, but I digress. Let's go back to the story at hand. Back in the end of 2002, the beginning of 2003, I had been a coach for about 9 years, and I had my Ivy League education, I had my fancy coaching certification, I had my vision boards, I had my affirmations, I had my millionaire mindset, the whole kabang, and and mountains of testimonials, really impressive testimonials, and the website and the brochure and the business card and the elevator speech and the tagline, all of it, good student. And I was struggling to make $100 a month.
Oh, wow.
in Los Angeles. Did not make any sense on paper at all. It was like I had superhuman powers to repel money. So my favorite person to speak to, those of you watching, are those of you who are doing everything you're supposed to be doing, and it's not working anyway. I had an existential crisis because while I'm not making money and I'm doing everything right, I'm working with coaches, I'm taking classes, I'm putting it all on credit cards, I'm borrowing it from my daddy, and I was in my 30s at that time, and so there was a lot of humiliation and shame around that. And I had taken this class on overcoming sales objections, and I was so good at it, because I'm such a good student, that 7 people in a row, I overcame their objections. They all said yes, and none of them showed up, and none of them paid. And I despaired. I ran out of hope. And I remember drawing the drapes in my little bedroom shut and getting on the bed and just laying down and screaming and crying and wanting to be dead, feeling so hated by the universe and so frustrated, and it felt so unfair, and I had so much rage and hurt. And I felt like my heart was broken and I just didn't want to live. So we're not only talking about the physical reality of not making enough money to live on, but the emotional reality of what that meant inside about me, my future, my worth, the whole picture. And I made 2 decisions in that moment. Obviously, I didn't kill myself, but it's a really dangerous state to be. I decided that money had to be my next area of spiritual growth. And I also became very curious about what was it inside of me that couldn't be with money. Because on the surface, I was doing everything right. But there was something so powerful within me that was unconscious, pushing it away, and I determined to find out what that was. And now I'm going to reveal the big secret.
I would love to hear it.
Yeah. As I said, even though I wasn't making money, I was still working with coaches with money I didn't have, borrowing on the future, which actually is a very smart thing to do at the right time. And my coach, who I still think is one of the greatest coaches alive, was very frustrated and had not been able to figure out what was wrong for many, many months. And after I made that decision, on our next coaching call, maybe 2 days later, he had this inspired moment where he asked me something really, really weird. And this is what makes my approach different from anybody else's. He asked me, if my money was a person, who would my money be? And I saw my money instantly. At that time, my money, my personified money, was this big, scary, dirty, violent biker who terrified me. And I never knew that I felt that way about money until I made it a person. Because when I saw this guy, bald with the big sideburns, the wife beater shirt, tattoos, all that kind of stuff, nothing wrong with it, nothing wrong with bikers. It's just this one was not a good idea, was not a good guy. And I wanted to create distance, maximum distance. It was like I would have my eye on him all the time if we were at a live event so that I could create distance. And in that moment, it was like the light bulb went on above my head. That's what I was doing with money the whole time, that I was going to networking meetings and taking classes and spending tens of thousands of dollars I didn't have on great classes and great coaching. So it's not just, you're not just costing yourself the money you're not making, but you're costing yourself by everything you're doing and investing in not working when you have a bad relationship with money. When I saw that guy, I realized there was no way that I could have money in my life if that was my money. And I had to get rid of that relationship, get rid of that imaginary guy, which created a new problem. And even though right now it all sounds woo-woo and imaginary, and I'm actually not a woo-woo person. I love math and science. Um, I had a new problem when I got rid of the monster. I still needed to have a relationship with money. But my lifetime relationship with money was filled with so much pain and disappointment. Family members not speaking to each other for decades over money arguments, seeing injustice in the world done for profit. Oh, really hard to be with. I needed to make that part of my monster so that I could get rid of it. When it's a person, we know how to get rid of a person. Not an energy field, not a measure of value, not a tool. Money is all those things, but when you make it personal, then you can change the relationship in a very whole person, intuitive way that sticks. As opposed to being in our head, I want us to get into our heart. I call it a millionaire heart set. I needed a new relationship with money once I got rid of the monster. And so here's the next weird question. And this time I asked myself, who could I want in my life so much that I would want this person even though it's money? Not because I want a car, not because I want money to do something for me, but who could I feel so safe and love so much that I would be willing to have a new kind of relationship with money? Because if you've ever been in an abusive relationship, you just don't want to get into that again. So it needed to be something really, really different. And the new imagined money that popped up spontaneously was tall and handsome and clean cut and in a tuxedo and carrying a red bouquet of flowers, and he was romantic. And I had this strong sense that he loved me and wanted to be with me, and I had been pushing him away all these years and breaking his heart. A few years and many hundreds of clients into trying this out on other people, I was in the prosperity closet for quite a while, not letting anybody know that I do this. But the day after I changed my relationship with money, 4 people showed up and hired me for double what I had ever charged. And then they just kept coming and coming. And within 6 months, I had more than I could hold in my head. Back then, I was struggling to charge $100 for a month. Now I've made $100,000 in an hour, So to finish the story, because when I'm telling you my story with my relationship with money, I'm actually starting the process of teaching you. I was really lucky. What I discovered from coaching so many other people is that when this new relationship with money, your personified money, what I call your money honey, is romantic, it works better. It works better financially, and it works better for us as human beings because it speaks to all those wounded, unlovable, worthless, emotionally injured parts of us. There's something about love that for us women, it just makes us blossom and radiate, and men say they stand taller, and it motivates us in this really light way that is not about fear and is not about numbers, and then the numbers follow. And the numbers can follow very quickly. Caroline Conniff made $86,000 within 12 hours. I had to remember that because I sometimes get that number confused with Elliot Malik, who made $87,000 within 6 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, and I get this kind of stuff all the time. It's the inner shift. The relationship is different from the dollars. One woman named Rush Cole, a really phenomenal artist based, I think, in New Mexico. I love what she wrote to me. She said that she now talks about dollars as cash, as distinct from the relationship itself, which is so pure and so uplifting, and it's a romance. So that you can have a great relationship with money, whatever the dollars look like, because honestly, you need a great relationship with money more when your bank account is at zero. It appears to be easy to have a great relationship with money when you have a lot of money in the bank. Over the years, I discovered that I've also coached a lot of high multi-six-figure clients, millionaire clients, tens of millions, hundreds of millions, and even a billionaire. And they can have horrible relationships with money too, where even though they have the dollars in the bank account, they aren't doing what they love. They're terrified of losing what they have. Everybody's coming after them for what they've got. They're not loved for themselves. They become the bank. And by the way, this stuff goes on. It's actually one of the reasons we protect ourselves from having so much money. So my desire is to establish you with a phenomenal relationship with money when you're on your way up, you know, so that then when you have it, you have this great container, so that I really make an extraordinary amount of money, and I feel truly blessed and humble and grateful. And I see a lot of my friends in my situation lonely and not in good relationships, and money is, especially for women, when women have a lot of money, that can be an obstacle to love. That's like a whole interview in itself. Mm-hmm. I want the whole world to be run by making money by putting love first. Loving yourself, loving your relationship with money, loving your life, loving other people, serving your clients. And so it's not just about having the dollars, although the dollars are very, very important, but it's about a money that serves a bigger picture of love and the lifestyle you deserve and leaving a legacy in the world.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Morgana. Now we're going to bring Sherry back, and we're going to have a discussion between the three of us, because this is really cool. As you said, you guys are opposite ends. So even though Sherry has said that it comes from within, and you agree, then Sherry looks at the numbers, which gets us, to be a little realistic too. So this is great. Let's bring Sherry back in. Hey, Sherry.
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. I mean, we are kind of like bookends. But I do a lot of the same. Not so much of the money. I mean, you definitely have that uniqueness, Morgana, with the money, honey, and I love that. But for me, it's you. I just know that you do need those numbers, and because that's my talent, and I have that, and I had my own mess that I dug myself out of at 39 years old, of credit cards maxed and everything. I know where people, that shame and that guilt and that embarrassment is, where people are at, and I think that helps me understand where people are, because I'm like, I know, been there, I've got that T-shirt, so it's all part of it. So this is awesome.
Yeah, and Morgana, when you were saying about the ultra wealthy people, one of my clients works with ultra wealthy people, and she told me that it was something like 92% of people, like in the ultra wealthy class, are not happy with their lives. Yeah. And so I can see how they are being very, they've got all the money, and they're like, no, stay away from me, like stop taking this from me. So is that what you're seeing too?
Yeah, it's funny, there's a notion when you don't have money that money will solve your problems, when actually it can just make them bigger. That's part of the picture. There's also a lot of wonderful things, but one of my clients came into $22 million unexpectedly before she hired me. And at the time when it happened, she thought this was a great thing and that she would do wonderful legacy things with it. And instead, it ruined all of her relationships. The man she'd been with for 15 years quit his job, decided never to work again. And then when they broke up, he got a job and married somebody else. And then when she came to me, she actually didn't come to me for money issues. She came because of love issues. And she didn't think she had a bad relationship with money. It actually took me a while to figure out that that was the root cause. All of her friends were borrowing. She was really being taken advantage of, and she was not attracting. Men would look at her house and say, well, you don't need me, and they wouldn't love her. They wouldn't see this beautiful, soft, vulnerable, smart, yummy lady. And we changed her relationship with money, and now she's in this wonderful relationship with this hot Buddhism professor who doesn't care about her money and just loves her, and it's been a really sweet relationship. They're actually on vacation together right now in South Africa. One of the ways in which my work is different, and by the way, the love thing is as typical a side effect of my work as the dollars, but I tend to lead with, in marketing and my whole niche thing, the dollars, the money thing, because that is so urgent, and because my approach to that is so different. One of the distinctions I want to make for the way my work works is that it's never really about the money story. And I hear that phrase a lot these days, your money story. The root cause and the solution is never really about money. I find a person's money monster in things that are completely unrelated. Like years ago when I was in Australia and speaking with a gentleman, I just found out within the first couple of minutes of our conversation that his father had committed suicide when he was a small child, and I knew instantly that that was the root cause. And he and that for him on a deep psychological level that he wasn't aware of, money had murdered his father. And when I told him that, it was, his eyes went wide, and he said, oh my God, I've been to all of the Tony Robbins, Christopher Howard, Robert Kiyosaki, Harv Eker classes, and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't change my relationship with money until now. And then we were walking back to a seminar we were both taking, and he picked up his bag and found $20 on the ground. The problem is never really about money. It just shows up in money. Anything that has to do with deservingness, anything we've been ashamed of. For women, huge correlation between money and our bodies, because we measure our self-worth on our bodies. So when I've coached women on their relationship with money and they had eating disorders, 100% so far the eating disorder went away. Even life catastrophic, dramatic eating disorders that they'd been struggling with for years just went away, because of the root cause is so much deeper than just money.
Now, you both work with women primarily, but Sherry, you said that you started to work with men, and I think I saw on your website too, Morgana, that you're starting to work with men too. Is there a difference between women and men and their relationship with money, particularly when it's not a good relationship?
Well, for me, with working with couples, a lot of times the woman comes to me first, saying, can't talk to my husband about this, and maybe I'll come to you. He doesn't want to look at their numbers. Or sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes it's the man who wants, that we're talking numbers now. But what happens is when we start looking at the numbers, like Morgana says, it's never about the money, right? It's always about what's going on inside. And so as I start doing deeper, and I also go through their money messages and their beliefs in their past, and a lot of the times, just like you were saying, Morgana, there would be something happened in their past that triggers, especially for men. And it's what I found for guys is, they usually sit with their arms crossed and like, yeah, go ahead. I get the numbers part, but don't even go anywhere near me to go underneath. But I'm just like, come on, just give me an inch here. Just try it, right? Even gratitude journal is one of the things that every single one of my clients that I tell them to do is start a gratitude journal. And the guys are always hesitant, and a dream journal, right? Get a dream board. that's even what my book is about, goal setting, because everybody said, well, as a financial advisor, why'd you write a book on goal setting? Because I said it's not about the money, and they're like, hang on a second, you're a financial advisor and you're saying it's not about the money, but it isn't. So it's more about what do we want, and then we can build that plan for it. So with guys, and what I've loved, I had one client, he was really resistant about getting into some of his messages and setting some goals. And so he said, oh, I'll try it. And he wanted a motorcycle, and the next thing you know, next 2 weeks he comes comes driving up in front of my office in his brand new motorcycle, right? So guys are, it depends, everybody's different, but in my experience, most men, once they get their foot in the door, and then you just kind of help them move along to wherever they need to go, and they come around. They got big soft hearts too. You just got to tap into it and find out where it is.
Right. Thank you. And Morgana?
Yeah, no, I've always coached men from the very beginning, and sometimes I've had more male clients than female. Just in recent years, it's shifted more towards women because I've been doing my money goddess work with the goddess archetypes. Because I had all these clients and all these women, we already had changed their relationship with money, and they were making the money, and then I was looking at the issues that come up next around our sexuality, our body, love, the impact we want to have in the world, setting boundaries, the balance of masculine and feminine activities and intuition, all that kind of stuff. And so as soon as you put goddess in the title and you go on retreats where men are not allowed, it skews.
Yeah.
But I love men. I love coaching men. And this is what I've noticed about the men. And one of the reasons I love men is because of the men I've coached. They want to be good men. They want to provide for the people in their lives. And this is gay or straight. All men want to be heroes. And their monsters are worse. And I wouldn't have known this. But poor men, a woman has no money, she can still go on dates. If a man has no money, he feels he has nothing to offer anybody. It is just a terrible wound. So what I've noticed, all income levels, from not a lot of money to making millions every year, men's monsters are harder to kill. And there's a good reason for that. Because for them, the act of slaying a really hard-to-kill monster is exactly what he needs to feel like the hero he is, to really know himself. So sure, this is all imaginary, but we go so deep into those dark areas where it's really not right for a lot of coaches or practitioners to go there. But one of my talents is I can take people safely to where they need to go and bring them back. And so when a man has slayed his demon, and whatever that shame or hurt or wound was, and comes out, he says he says that he's able to stand taller. And that's a really big thing for a man. Mm-hmm. And he knows himself much. He feels like a hero. He feels like he can protect and provide. The other interesting thing about men is their manifestation dollars are bigger. I mentioned Elliot Malik, $87,000 in 6 hours. That became over $100,000 within a week. My record holder to date is a client named Tom who made $1.5 million within our first 6 weeks of working together.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow.
Very wonderful. Yeah.
Now, what should we... No, I try not to use the word should. How can we teach our children better than we're teaching them now as it relates to their relationship with money? So, Morgana, would you like to start?
Sure. Beautiful question. And very often when somebody cannot see, or they're here, or they're having trouble, they're stuck in the process, like one of the women last year in Bali, she knew she had this monster, but she couldn't see it. And how can you get rid of something you can't see? As soon as I mentioned her son, whom she loves, suddenly it all came to light. And I use that all the time with clients who have kids. It's like we can put up with a lot for ourselves, but we do not want to pass that on to our kids.
Right.
The best thing you can do for your own children and their relationship with money is to have a great relationship with money yourself. It doesn't matter what you tell them. They learn from who you are. One of my clients, Sarah, was already 50 with 5 kids when she came to me. And since we worked together, she has raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for her children's school. She has a radio show. She's published a bunch of books. She takes her own women on pilgrimages through the Pyrenees. And this is what she calls being a wealthy woman. She thought it was just about money when it began, but it's this whole life thing. And it's also improved her relationship with her husband and his relationship with money too. So the very best thing you can do is have this loving relationship with money. And when it's love-based, then you look at the numbers and it doesn't feel scary. It's something that you and your imaginary money honey can just sit on the couch and take a look at. Ooh, that doesn't look good. Okay, what can we do? What action should I take to correct this? And you can look at it in partnership.
Great, thank you. Sherry, what would you suggest?
Well, I get this all the time about I should be teaching kids money at school from my clients, and I say the same sort of as Morgana. It starts with you, right? You're the teacher. Your kids monkey see, monkey do, right? If you aren't handling your money, then your kids are going to do exactly what you're doing. You're the role model. And so when I work, especially with couples, and this one couple I worked with, he's a dentist, and the kids were used to money. They made lots of money, so the kids were used to having pretty much all they wanted. Mom and dad were the bank, and whenever they needed money. And so when they sat down with me and we did their cash flow and got a plan together, and they realized how much they were not giving their kids good lessons by just handing over money, not teaching them, and not showing them actually what their reality was of the numbers, right? Showing their kids the numbers. I mean, they didn't have to share everything with them, but basically what it costs to run the house, all the little tiny things that people, kids don't learn that unless we teach them. And so their kids actually started getting their own dream boards and worrying about how much they were spending or asking their mom and dad for money. So I think it's not about so much that we need to teach kids in school about money. That's still important. But for me, my mission is to teach the parents of the kids so that they can be better role models for their children.
I just realized this myself because we've always been pretty open about money in our discussions at home. We're pretty open about almost everything. You should hear some of our dinner conversations. But when my daughter went off to university last year and she was living on her own, I realized I hadn't really shown her how to do certain things. Like, she didn't know how credit cards worked. So we've got her a credit card, and she was so worried. She was so worried. She would go to the grocery store, buy some groceries, and immediately go home and transfer the money from her checking account to pay it. And I'm like, it's okay, honey. You've got a few days to do that. But
that's a good thing, though.
Well, no, it's a really good thing. Completely opposite from her sister. But but then, we realized that just some of the basics we had forgotten to teach her. So
yeah, absolutely.
Good. So for the women particularly who think that money is evil and that to have a lot of money is evil for whatever reason, how do you change that mindset? Because I've seen it a lot, particularly with heart-centered entrepreneurs. Like they feel they need to be like barely scraping by to show how spiritual and whatever. So what would you say to them, Morgana?
I would start by making them right. I'm friends with a lot of the biggest law of attraction teachers. A lot of the stars of The Secret are my buddies, and I'm not teaching law of attraction. I call my approach alchemy, which is, the transmutation of leaden human experience into spiritual and material gold, which is a fancy way of saying taking the bad stuff and making it the key to everything you ever wanted. So when people are in that place, I'm like, yes, they're being honest. Yay! So I'm not going to punish them for having negative thoughts or feelings. In fact, I reward them. We want to start there and make it bigger and bigger and get to the root of it so that we can create an enormous monster. And the value of having a really big, bad, powerful monster that we can see is it creates a huge amount of leverage from the neurological perspective that the worse the monster is, the more real and more powerful its opposite will be. And those are the ones who make the big bucks the fastest and have the best results. So instead of telling them to change their relationship or change their mindset, I want to validate it. It's not there by accident. Magnify it, and then we can do something with it.
Cool. Very cool. Sherry, what would you say?
Yeah, it's same thing. It's about acknowledging what those feelings are, and when they know okay, here it is. This is what it is. Is this true for me? Is it not true for me? And then you can break it down. And I always say is when you know better, like Maya Angelou says, when you know better, you'll do better. And so when they know exactly what it is, where their go-to is, then they can change it. And so I like Morgana, I'd let them welcome it too, because it's a real good gift and a tool for them to be able to change that behavior, knowing what those messages are. And really that whole saying that money is the root of all evil is it's actually, the quote goes, for the love of money is the root of all, not money, because like Morgana said, money's energy. Money doesn't mean anything, right? It's the meaning that we give to money and the choices that we make with it.
Can I get on my soapbox for a second?
You certainly can, because I was just going to ask you if you had any parting words.
Yeah, well, here's my soapbox about love. Because I believe that the love of money is the root of the salvation of this planet. Because love is not theft, it's not greed, it's not cheating, it's not scarcity, it's not lying, it's not any of that stuff. That is not love, never will be, never was. Love is expansive, love is generous, love is healing. So that's one of the reasons that money needs to be a person worthy of love, real love and partnership, not some kind of scarcity measuring fear-based scorecard.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you. Oh, I'm getting all warm fuzzies from this. Okay, so Sherry, any parting words from you? And then I'm going to ask if you guys have gifts for the audience.
I just want to let women know that start being more selfish. And what I mean by selfish is self-love, right? We put ourselves on the back burner. We're multitaskers. We take care of everything else but ourselves. So for women, and even guys too, right? I mean, so this can go for both. But really start doing some self-love and being a little bit more selfish and putting yourself first, even when it comes to money, and that'll change your relationship with money big time.
Awesome, thank you, Sherry. So it's the time in the show when I ask for gifts for the audience. So I understand you both have gifts. So Morgana, could you please share how the audience can receive your gift and what it is?
I am gifting a 4-part money magnetic video series that goes into your money monster and your money honey and answers some of the top questions that I've received over the years. It goes really deep. So go to moneymagnetvideogift.com And when you sign up there to access the video series, one will go out every day, you also get invited to be in my VIP list, so that when I do free teleclasses where I go really deep and actually teach you how to do the process yourself for free, you'll be the first one to get alerted when that kind of stuff comes up.
Excellent, thank you. And Sherry?
Well, I'm the money gal, right? So we talk about numbers. And so if you go to sherrymolson.com /reinvention show, I have a cash flow mastery program, and I'm going to gift you the cash flow module on actually how to know your numbers. And
awesome.
So there's going to be an audio and some worksheets that you're going to be able to download. And also I'll throw in a copy of my ebook or an ebook copy, a digital copy of my book. Maximum Money Momentum.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you very much, both of you. So there you go. We've had another fantastic Reinvention show. This is actually the last show in this season. We're going to take a little bit of a break, and then we're going to come back with a reinvented Reinvention show. So be sure to head on over to thereinventionshow.com and check out the other interviews that we've had over these past 3 seasons. There's so much information over there, so many valuable tips, and so many wonderful resources that all of our guests have given. So head on over there, and I will see you after the break. And thank you very much to my producer, Keith, who's been an awesome producer this season, and to you, Morgana, and to you, Sherry.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
My pleasure. Bye.
Bye.